Welcome back to the Eastern Business Report. I'm Cherry Ojukwu. For decades, the engine of economic policy and corporate advocacy in Enugu State has been heavily concentrated right here in the capital city. But the reality of commerce is that our primary production corridors, our agro-allied engine, and the vast majority of our micro, small, and medium enterprises operate from beyond the urban center. If we are to actualize Governor Peter Mbah's ambitious economic blueprint to transform Enugu from a $4.4 billion economy into a private sector-led $30 billion economy, production powerhouse, the strategy must change. Tomorrow's growth requires a deliberate shift from state-level centralization to active city-level economic hubs. Positioned at the absolute forefront of this zonal revolution is the Nsukka Chamber of Commerce, Industry, Mines, and Agriculture. As they prepare for a critical EXCO meeting right here in the heart of Nsukka, they are rewriting the rules of engagement and forcing a structure that converts local potential into global export volume. Joining me live on the discussion segment to unpack this blueprint is a corporate leader, security expert, and the president of NSCCIMA, Barrister Sam Otoboeze. It's a pleasure to have you on the program, sir.
Thank you, Chair. Nice to be here.
Very well. The upcoming NSCCIMA EXCO Council meeting in Nsukka marks a deliberate push to meet small businesses exactly where they are. Why has that traditional state capital centralized chamber model failed grassroots SMEs in secondary cities?
Good. You see, you need to take the battle to where the ground is. Even Christ, when he was doing his job, would always go to where where the people needing his support were. Where to heal, where to do one thing or the other. He never sat down in his family house and said, if you need my help, come to me. So the same way, you see, the economy is in the hands of the SMEs. They generate most of the economy. They are the producers. They are the marketers. We rely on them. But when we situate every activity of NSCCIMA at the city, at the state chambers, it takes them out of what we're doing. It makes it look like a corporate association, when in fact, it is meant for them. So what we're doing is a paradigm shift, taking it to where the economies are, taking it where the productions are made, taking it where the exports are, generated. So if you don't take it there, you kind of dissect, you separate the resource from the actual area where it's supposed to be. And it is something that we told them that, look, if you give all the hosting right, everything about hosting is going to change dramatically, because we need to meet the traders, we need to meet the farmers, we need to meet the artisans, we need to see how we now utilize the opportunities that are hidden, the economies that are lying fallow. How do we connect them with the partners, with the financiers and all that? And the best way to do it is to take it to where these economies are generated. And that's why we insisted on, having us move it to Nsukka. And honestly, I use the opportunity to thank the president of NSCCIMA, Engineer Jani Ibrahim, for his understanding, because this is the way we've been doing it. It doesn't bring about the changes required, but he saw what we are looking at. We saw the need for the paradigm shift. He saw the new trajectory that we need to go in order to grow the economy and emancipate our people from abject poverty. And he agreed with us against all odds. So we give him kudos, and along with other members of the national team leaders. Thank you.
So moving from a state-level mindset to a city-level chamber operation sounds excellent on paper. But what does that transition look like logistically for an active market trader or a local artisan in Nsukka?
What it looks like is like opening the eyes of people to business opportunities. It's an opportunity to tell them, hey, you can get some finances to run your business. Bringing the financiers close to them, bringing the partners close to them, bringing business investors, other investors close to them. then it's going to kind of let them understand there are opportunities more than subsistence, existential reality they are living in. So when this thing, it is something to say, hey, do you know that you can be better? Your life can be better this way. They don't know. And until we do it, they may not know. If we say, come to Enugu or go to Oka or go to Lagos, how many people will be willing to move this into Lagos or transport their business to Lagos? But when you take it close to them, they are going to see that opportunity, that they have been lying down, sleeping on the bed. Under the bed is gold mine. And that's just the message we want to convey. And that's the output we are trying to get out of this. And it's going to become a reality in due course of time.
Very well. So Nsukka and surrounding zones are the actual primary production corridors for the state.
Sure.
If the chamber successfully decentralizes, how do you prevent city chambers from becoming bogged down by the same bureaucratic bottlenecks we see at the state level?
Yes, there wouldn't be, because when there is competition now, when the people, there won't be any bottleneck. For instance, Nsukka is like a center of so many activities, it's like the hub of economic activity in the zone. Because within the Nsukka area, you can, the people from Kogi State will access there within few minutes. Some from Benue will access within few minutes. So in the economic growth, what are these bottlenecks that we anticipate? It may not be really this, because if you're doing your business, if you're doing your manufacturing, you're producing your goods, and you're learning the skill on how to do your packaging and export your goods, the bottlenecks will be eliminated significantly. And then we're going to be there. We're going to have, a kind of business clinic that will help to shape things, reduce some of the bottlenecks. And that is why I find favor in what is being done, ease of doing business. And we want to now move talk to action. Ease of doing business. What are these things that at our own level we can do in order to make business an easy and enjoyable, kind of venture? Not the way that it's been done or was done in the past. So the bottlenecks are going to be removed by what we are looking at forming, and that's just the business clinics. If you have a problem, you come to us, we tell you what to do. If it is policy-driven, that government needs to take a back seat and look at it, we will be their voices to say, hey, government, what you're doing is strangulating the business. But you need them to succeed in order for you to increase the IGR. So it's kind of a midwifing role that we're trying to play, bringing the farmers, bringing the artisans, bringing the SMEs, bring them close, in a close relationship with the government and the partners. There are people in this world today looking for where to harness the best pepper. And as you know, Nsukka pepper is about the best in this world because of its special aroma. It doesn't exist anywhere. You can find pepper, yellow, but has it got the aroma of Nsukka pepper? No, you can't get it. Is it the honey? There are people looking for where to harness the best. The bottleneck is that they can't even get to where it's being done. But this kind of situation is going to now move away that bottleneck, create a platform where you meet those who are producing it, and then processing will now become an easy thing to be thought about. Yeah, they are producing and marketing. They are moving from farm to market. We want to see how we can move from farm to factory and to export. And that can be possible when you bring in, investors into this. And instead of producing as just raw material or, finished product, before it gets to Enugu export, then you get people who invest in now drying, packaging, and exporting. So in that way, that's where the real money comes. Not in just producing pepper that rottens after a few days without buyers. So in that way, we want to increase the people's power to produce. Because when you produce and you market, you will be energized to do more. So that's what we're looking at. And in that way, so many bottlenecks will be removed. And indeed, it will, because we're forming a market, not just for Nsukka, but bringing the interstate, hub into actual use. give opportunity to the Benue people closer to us, give opportunity to Kogi people, close to us, then increase the IGR of the state. Because when you're coming to do business, and then create an environment to see an organized structure for even taxation and see how that even can be reduced without necessarily taxing people overbet, making sure that there's a structure for this and increasing the IGR.
Enjoying the analogies you're giving, but many local SMEs view chambers of commerce as elite clubs for established corporate titans. How does this upcoming EXCO meeting plan to dismantle the perception and convince a skeptical local marketer or a local mechanic or a fashion designer to join the formal fund?
Okay, yeah, we're going to do a whole lot of an enlightenment program. It's going to start from there. We're going to do, actual engagement with the traders, with the producer, the farmers, the hairdressers, the university. Remember, there's a gap. Even this town and gown thing, we're not utilizing it properly. So this time around, we're going to bridge this gap by making sure that, one, by the time we create that awareness and say, come, we're going to do this, we're going to see also, we're joining this with a mini kind of trade expo that people are coming to showcase what they're producing. And people who are coming, visiting, are going to be buying one or two things. You understand?
Yes.
We're seeing, in the minimum, we're going to generate about 75 million in this event for transporters, hoteliers, those who are selling recharge card, all the logistics, hoteliers, and those who are selling, who will be bringing their goods, because people will be coming from across the country, and the minimum that may be spent on this trip will be 150,000 naira per person in this trip by the participants. And we're expecting not less than 500 people coming. And these 500 people coming, at least 150, if you multiply 150 by, 500, you're getting about 75 million. And that's going to roll out. That's the minimum. That's just the conservative expectation. Realistically, we are looking at a lot more times two of that. Because certainly, those people who are coming to showcase their pepper, showcase their yam, showcase their dresses, showcase their ukbei, they are going to sell. And when they're selling, when they test it, then whenever you're telling them, come and register, they will understand why they're registering. They will now see that we are honoring them. We are moving the elitist club to their domestic area where they can easily be reached. To tell them, look, this is not a kind of a town base or, state base. It is for you. You need to handle it. So people will be coming, they will be asking questions. Oh, you're producing this. What do you need that we can partner with you to make you export it? Like I said earlier, the beauty is in the export, not in just producing for local consumption. Yes. So, and when that happens, when they are this interface, it's going to kind of energize them to come out, to belong, to struggle, to produce more, and then to harness the opportunities that exist in chamber. Above all, it's going to bring availability of funding, because there are financing projects. It's been a challenge to the SMEs. But we're going to bring those who can fund certain projects at minimal cost and then make them realize the benefit and then equip them to do more. And that will be to the benefit of the producers, the members, and essentially to the government.
Okay. So when you decentralize operations to a city level, you also inherit localized challenges, ranging from arbitrary local government levies to fragmented trade associations. So how does NSCCIMA plan to protect decentralized SMEs from aggressive local government task forces?
Yeah, that's where we come in as the voice of the SMEs. Look at the point, remember that NSCCIMA is the umbrella body of the private, operators, in this country. So we are not dissected, we are connected. And then we know what the policy will be. If we can't do it, we source support from them. But we know we can do it because if we go to the governor, for instance, to the local government chairman and say, look, people, you're stifling your own people economy. And you are there to make life easy, not to worse for them. Can we change this, to this and this to that? And show you how, empirically, what you stand to gain by doing that. Because the moment you start, making life difficult for those who generate who are the motive engine behind the economy, you are losing a lot. And the SMEs are the motive engine behind the economic growth of every nation. So when you do anything that try to stifle them, then you are stifling your own success. And no government will want to be seen as a failure. If you are governing and people are not happy, then what are you doing? So we're going to form that bridge. Say, okay, is this your problem? Then we can take it to that. If it's an issue of lack of awareness, we also stand that. Is there the need for taxation? Yes. Is there a need for double taxation? Certainly no. Government needs taxation, of course. But to what extent are you being taxed? How many people are collecting these taxes? What is the structure for recovery? Then we can now, as a government, to create the awareness. Hey, this single taxation process is what you need. The moment you do it, you are done. If anybody comes to you and say, pay this one and pay that one, raise up your hand and call on us. We will take the battle off you and fight it at a larger level. And we will do that. Because legally, if what is being done is illegal, we have the right to say, look, you're doing something illegal here. And if it is legally this thing, we have the duty to say, hey, what is being done is normal. And this is how it will benefit you. In fact, what will happen is that at the end of this program, I can see a whole lot of a better structured, taxing system. You know who you're taxing. Assuming what we're asking for, support this way, support that way. It will be easy for that flow to be made. We create the awareness. We support the people. We show them that, look, we're for you. But we wouldn't want you not to do what you're required to do, because in which state, in which country would you do business without paying tax? The question is how much? The question is who is collecting? The question is what is the process? If there is a fraudulent attachment to it, we are in a position to know that this is not right, and then we can intervene.
Okay, so stakeholders at the Nsukka Economic Development and Investment Forum boldly claimed that the zone could drive up to 60% of the state's $30 billion GDP target. Realistically, what structural transformation has to happen in the next 12 months for Nsukka to even come close to triggering that level of exponential growth?
Okay, yeah, it requires just the support of the government. So let me take it item by item. You see, Nsukka has over 1.5 million people. So it has a massive market. And out of that number, about 80 of them are in informal kind of private sector business. Assuming there is a way, when we're asking like 1 billion for the program, you use it to structure this 80% informal sector, you will be formalized, right? It will be easy to compute what will be coming from there on a very normal flat rate task for whatever you're doing. That's one. Two, the university town and gown opportunity is not being utilized. You see, the engineers, the fabricators, are doing their own, the farmers are doing their own, but you have, faculties of engineering, you have faculties of business, you have faculty of all that, agriculture. They are not bonded. By the time you bring this together, you now see that more structured production will be made and the IGR will begin to spike off. What of the location, the geographic location? Like I did say earlier, you see, Benue is there, Kogi is there, close proximity, within an arm's length. If my fire goes out today, I can walk across to Benue, neighbor, and collect the fire. Most of them will want to participate in what we're doing than traveling down to Makurdi. Right. So it's going to create a large market space that can also generate a whole lot of funds. Now, what of the agricultural base? Is it the rice? Is it the cassava? Is it the honey? Is it the osensuka? Name them. All these are things that, look, it's just a spike. It's just discovering the opportunity to raise this. You can imagine what will come from this. Do you know what Ghana is making out of pepper alone? Exported pepper. And you know that even exporting any of this will require a structuring. And at the moment, government get involved, and the chamber, plays this role, you will see a whole lot of generation. In fact, we're thinking that it will be more than that. Because of, the vibrant, youthful population in that area that you can utilize at a lower cost and make them grow, and the economy grows. So you see, when Nsukka economically grows, the state will grow, the nation will grow. Because what is generated will feed into the state, and the state will feed into the nation. So it's like a relay race. So we're optimistic about it. To be honest with you, when we were studying the project of NEDIF, I didn't see that. And this is why it's good to work with professionals. It's just that I, by dint of the way I do my things, I make sure that I got professionals to look at this place. What are you saying? And by the time we review their paper, I'm so impressed and I'm so convinced that it's going to happen. As an economic hub for that region, I'm not sure of any other country that has better economic hub than Nsukka, to be honest. Because by the time you pull this, what is the distance between Nsukka and Enugu at the center? What of Anambra? What of Ebonyi State? What of Benue? What of Kogi? Look, the hub is there as a link to the northern state, and a whole lot can be generated. Much more than that.
I like the optimism I'm seeing you.
Thank you.
Now, security is the absolute bedrock of the governor's economic vision. And your personal background in corporate and national security is extensive. So from your vantage point, where are the remaining vulnerabilities in our regional security architecture that could still derail these multi-billion-dollar investment plans?
Yeah, it's still an issue, but fixable issue. The gap remains, If it is not Panadol, it is not Panadol. I still believe that government has to do more. And by the time this issue of marauding, arm carrying, guys, in the name of headsmen or terror or whatever, if it can only be dealt with, because that's the biggest problem that there is. And you can't deal with it without government putting its foot on the ground. You can see what is happening in the state. I think progressively we are getting in there. And of course, I thank the governor for that. Because when the competition, you can imagine what the energy it took from us to get NSCCIMA to be hosted. And one thing somebody will tell you is that, insecurity. Because traditionally, NSCCIMA doesn't go to anywhere where you don't have the airport by your side. They don't do that. It's a state, it's like, state-based this thing. They don't go to places you don't have 5-star hotel and all that. They will know. But see, if you don't do the disruptive activity, you cannot change the system. But we have to go into disruption because we believe that disruptive activity will produce, monumental result that we'll be proud of. So if only the government, federal government will do more in security by dealing with the root cause of all this, and which is not as hard as it seems, because, it's difficult to convince anybody how very few armed carrying people, not well structured, would defeat the Nigerian army, defeat the DSS, defeat the Nigerian police, defeat civil defense, defeat the forest. Come on. So it's not possible. But government has to really come and say, you know what? Enough of this. The moment they say enough of this, you can see that the economy is going to blossom. But I'm happy with what is happening in the state. Can we do more? Yes. A better integration of people, technology, and law. And you're fine-tuning. At the GM Security NNPC, I use it in the Niger Delta. And what we are still seeing today is what is, is the investment we did at that time. Okay? And if you want to check the record, go back. When I left NNPC, we were producing 2.2 million barrels per day. Okay? And there was no special charge for it. I was just doing my job. But I know I have a structure in place that I can always use. And by the time I use the people, use the technology, and jail you or put you out of circulation, others will know that I'm in business. It worked for me, and it's still working. It's all that you need. And in fact, by the time I developed the concept, community-based security strategy for the NNPC, I was sure that it's not only winning the war, but sustaining the victory. Okay? I'm sure that when I left, he left with me because if you are the dreamer, the moment you sleep, your dream will sleep with you. But how are we? Somebody wakes up and says, come, where is that your concept? Because I've done it and we practicalize it, it's going to work, whether in the state or in the federal. And in that way, we can deal with this. So I wish that we could still be doing more in investing in security, and the moment the state maintains a security atmosphere, investment will pursue everybody out of the state.
Okay, you have really made it easier to understand lots of these concepts, and it's been such a pleasure having you on the program. But we have to close.
Oh wow!
We have to end. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you very much.
And that's the much that we can take on the Eastern Business Report. The Afia Business Morning returns tomorrow. Many thanks for staying with us. My name is Cherry Ojukwu. Bye for now.